two wings to veil my face. I want two wings to veil my feet. I want two wings to fly away. I know the world can't do me no harm. Two wings, I want two wings just to veil my face. I want two wings to veil my feet. I want two wings to fly away. I know the world can't do me no harm. Two wings, I want two wings just to veil my face. I want two wings to veil my feet. I want two wings to fly away. I know the world can't do me no harm. Listen to me now. One of these old mornings, and it won't be long. No. You look around here for me, but I'll be gone on home. Two wings, just to veil my face. Two wings, just to veil my feet. Two wings, just to fly away. I know the world can't do me no harm. Wait a minute, meet me, Jesus, meet me in the middle of the air, yeah. If these two wings should fail me, I want you to meet me with another pair. Two wings, two wings, to veil my face. Two wings, to veil my feet. I want two wings, I'm gonna fly away. I know the world can't do me no harm. Hey, hey. Up in glory, I've got a long white robe. Over yonder, a new pair of shoes. But most of all, I've got a long pair of wings. I'll fly away, spread the news. Two wings, two wings to veil my face. Two wings to veil my feet. Two wings to fly away. I know the world can't do me no harm. They can try to, but the world can't do me no harm. I know the world can't do me no harm. Hey, hey. One of these old mornings, and it won't be long. No. You look around here for me, but I'll be gone on home. Can I get my wings to veil my face? Can I get two wings to veil my feet? Two wings to fly away. I know the world can't do me no harm. Over yonder, the world can't do me no harm. I'm gonna go where the world can't do me no harm. I say the world can't do me no harm.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. This is Brother Jerome Faulkner from the Robbins Church of Christ, once again offering you greetings and good wishes on this Sunday morning. This morning's topic will be sort of a follow up to what we talked about the past Sunday. In this case, though, we're going to talk about the clothing of a Christian, the garments of a Christian, how a Christian should adorn themselves or with what they should adorn themselves with. And there are several items, and we'll take them one by one. But again, these are the garments, the clothing of a Christian. Number one, the first garment, the first piece of clothing the Christian should wear or put on is compassion. Compassion is very important because it's an attempt to understand the word in its deepest sense. Um, we should be caring. We should be compassionate. We should be concerned about each other and the world in general. Compassion is just key, and we should be all about that. We should definitely be wrapped in the garment of compassion. Compassion, again, is just so important because people have problems and they want a kind word. They want somebody to listen. They want somebody to help them out of their predicament. And this means we should be compassionate. We should sit and listen. We should comfort. We should reassure. We should do all the things necessary to make that person comfortable and help that person work their way out of whatever problems they might be having. And it does not have to be on a one-on-one or person-to-person basis either. When you feed the hungry, when you give to the needy, when you help those in trouble, when you visit the jails, these are all compassionate things. These are things that we should be doing. We should be practicing. We should be there when somebody needs us. And it doesn't have to be the type of thing where we take credit or we get pats on the back. It does not have to be that way. As a matter of fact, if you're a donor, a lot of times you can be anonymous. A person who receives something might not know where it came from, and it could have come from you. And that is a sign of compassion and a Christian compassion because you're not looking for accolades. You're not looking for pats on the back. You're not looking for praise. You're looking to help somebody. This is so important because the attitude, the mindset is one of a Christian when you're not looking for glory. You're just trying to make the world a better place. So, and some for some reason, you notice compassion right away. Sometimes when you're around people, you can always sense when a person is compassionate by the way they carry themselves, by the way they talk, their behavior. It stands out because when a person does not care, they don't let you talk, they cut you off, they don't want to hear it. That's not compassion. That's the opposite of compassion. So again, when you're compassionate, you're willing to make sacrifices for the other person. You're willing to walk in their shoes, as they say, and try to be understanding. And that is so important because a lot of times we don't understand and we don't care. We walk away and we just don't have time. And that is so unchristian like. We should always have time for our fellow man. So, number one, the first article of clothing for the Christian is compassion. The next garment is kindness. Kindness is, first of all, for a Christian should be sensitive. The Christian should be sensitive to other people's needs. They should be sensitive in the sense that uh, they, you might want to just give that timely, kind word when you see a person down. Um, when a person is hurt, you might want to just keep them company or just, in other words, kindness in a lot of ways is love in action. Kindness is love in action. When you're kind, you're showing compassion again, you're showing love, you're showing empathy, you're showing concern. And this is so important. The main thing is that you genuinely care for the other person, for another person. You care. You really, really care. And that stands out. That shows right away. Sometimes when everybody else forsakes you and leaves you and everything, a person might, the kind Christian might be nice enough to stay with you a little longer or sit with you until somebody comes to help you or pick you up or whatever. But kindness is just so important. And again, that is a garment that every Christian should wear. And we could talk on and on about it, but we know what it means and we know how it feels to be uh, with a kind person, and that we know what it means to offer kindness. That is the main thing. Because sometimes when people are in trouble, people will walk away. They will not be kind. They will do something pretty harsh, and that's certainly not Christian like. So kindness is important, and kindness is not weakness or anything. It really shows that you have a lot of heart, that you're just a compassionate person. You a kind person. And the word compassion keeps coming in there, but that's true. That shows you have a heart of gold, really. That you're a kind person. Now, the next article of clothing, the next garment is lowliness. Along with compassion and kindness, we are to wear lowliness. And lowliness is a virtue. It's really humility. And uh, being humble is really not being phony, not being counterfeit. Um, False humility is not good. Uh, some people do hide behind the mask of false humility. Uh, you often see politicians who pretend to be this and that, and once they get in office, uh, they don't know you, but they show this false humility. And that's what we're talking about when we say lowliness. We're talking about genuine humility, and this is a beautiful quality. A lot of times when you show it, you won't be aware of it. Sometimes it's innate. It's part of your personality. Um, a lot of people don't even see this humility in themselves. Um, but actually, humility is really has to do with a lot of healthy self-love. You don't when you feel good about yourself, you don't seek the spotlight. It'll come to you if you do the right thing. You're not out there trying to say, "Look at me, look at me." Um, when you love yourself, you're confident. Um, you probably can develop or have a well-being, a concern for the well-being of others. And this is a true humility. You're not concerned about again praise and all this stuff, and you're not concerned about being noticed or being rewarded or being spoken well of. And a lot of people like that, oh well, he said something good about blah blah blah, and I'm gonna try to uh, come in, show this kind of phony humility and everything, and they're gonna make me feel good because they're gonna say good things about me. But that's not really. Uh, in other words, if there's nobody around and there's nothing, I mean, and you have humility, that's what should be. That's what counts. That the fact is that it's innate. It's part of your personality. That you're a humble person, and it's nice to be around humble people. When you're around people who brag and this is, I don't know, it's something negative and offsetting about that. So you don't want that. Now, the next article of clothing, the next garment, is meekness. And as the saying goes, you don't mistake meekness for weakness. That is not the case. Matter of fact, uh, meekness is really strength under control. That's right, strength under control. And that's a hard thing to accomplish. That's a hard to do. But meekness is really, again, strength under control. And that's a lot of people think, well, he's meek and everything. He's a pushover. I can bully him and all that. Oh no, not so. That's not the case at all. Because you're meek doesn't mean you won't stand up for yourself. Um, I mean, you're not assertive. You're not assertive. You're not pushy and all that. And because that's not a sign of strength and all that. That's just really kind of a lot of times bullies and assertive people are cowards. When you're meek, you can stand back and just take things in stride and not be quick to argue and fight and all these kind of things. You just have a lot of confidence. It's really a sign of strong confidence, and a lot of people fake have false confidence and all that. But when when everything when push comes to shove, um, meekness means that you do have confidence and you're not worried about anybody running over you or taking advantage of you. That's not the case at all. Um, and so that term is kind of a misnomer in a way. I mean, people get the wrong idea. They start thinking about, oh, he's meek, he's like a lamb and all that. Not necessarily the case. You can be, inside, you can be strong, assertive, and, you know, uh, you're not gonna stand for being pushed around, and but that doesn't mean you have to go out and fight and be aggressive and all this stuff. Matter of fact, if you're meek, you probably laid back because you're not worried. You know what you stand for. You know who you are. You have confidence, and you just go on. And these are people who are pleasant to be around, by the way. These are people who are, just joyful. I mean, they're just a pleasure to be with because they're not uptight or, trying to prove anything. And they have confidence and it shows. And so this is what meekness is all about. So don't get it twisted. Meekness is a good thing and it's so important. So that is another garment. That is another piece of clothing that we should wear proudly. Now, the next thing is, and man, is this this is something that we all need to wear proudly. We need patience. We need to be patient. And they talk about putting on patience, and patience means so many things. Number one, patience means endurance or putting up with a lot of wrong wrong things. And I mean that's like hanging in there and being patient and trying to let things work themselves out and not being rash or jump the gun. And that is hard to do because I mean this you have to learn patience. I mean, you have to practice patience, because you like little kids, they can't wait. And as you grow older, you realize you have to just wait sometimes. Things don't come immediately sometimes. And that is so hard to do because you want things, well, we all want things immediately. We want things to happen like boom, boom. And that's not the way life works. As a matter of fact, uh, sometimes, man, you have to, as they say, have the patience of Job. You have to really, I mean, some things can take weeks, months, years uh, before things shape up the way they should, shape up the way you want things to shape up. Because believe me, you can have a lingering illness and it takes a long time, years to get over it. And, but you have to be patient, do what the doctors tell you, and not have any setbacks. And, whatever's prescribed, just in other words, you have to go along with the program until things get where you want them to be. But patience, because patience means discipline. You have to be disciplined to be and that's tough. That is tough. That is tough because man, I guess it's human nature. When you a lot of times when you want something, you get all excited, and that could be anything. That could be like you can't hardly wait on a meal. You get the food, you just gobble it down and everything. You can't enjoy it, and and plus being impatient leads to a lot of mistakes. Man, oh man, I mean, my goodness, being impatient can lead to a ton of mistakes. You can, I mean, I can speak for myself, and I'm sure other people have too. That man, when you jump the gun and get impatient and do the wrong things, it can backfire. I mean, it can be awful. It can be awful. And sometimes when you're impatient and you do the wrong things, it's hard to reconcile these mistakes. It is very difficult to reconcile something that's happened that you almost can't take back. You can't change. And that is really, really tough. And to learn, it takes, I guess, one thing it takes is maturity. It takes maturity. You have to be a mature person to really be patient. It takes wisdom. It takes experience. I mean, because once you find out what being impatient can do for you or do how it can work against you, you you learn. I mean, you say, "Wow, you can save a lot of grief, a lot of trouble by practicing patience." And the other thing is, and this might be the real problem, or there might be the real dilemma, difficulty, a real obstacle. Put it like that. A real obstacle can be how patient are you with other people? How patient are you with other people? How many times you been upset by somebody being late? You say, "Well, let's do this at such and such an hour," and the hour comes. 5 minutes later, they're not there. 10 minutes later, so and so, and you know how you waiting on somebody. After a while, you can get frantic because you just can't understand what happened, what went wrong, where are they? You can't wait, or you have somebody do something. They're having like an assignment, and you say, okay, blah blah. This is where I want it laid out. This is how I want it done. And they come back, and things aren't the way they're supposed to be. And you say, wow. I waited and waited, and I gave you all this time, and I talked to you, and I instructed you, and told you how I wanted it. And here you are. We got to do it all over again, and and all everything's things are just messed up, and your patience wears thin. In other words, and obviously, when you're trying to train children, that can really try your patience because no matter how many times you tell them something, they go right back and repeat the same mistakes. Or that can be with adults too. You trying to teach a class, you trying to just show people this and that. They're not getting it. They keep messing up, and your patience wears thin. So it takes a strong person. It takes a certain kind of person to exercise patience. Usually, when you find a person with patience, they are very successful. They do real well because most people don't have it, or they learn the hard way, and sometimes uh, they don't learn it until they're older and the time is getting short, and they realize finally that you have to be patient. You have to be patient. You have to be. Uh, and can you imagine uh, Christ with his the apostles and all the things that were going on? How patient and how calm and patient Christ had to go through all the things he went through. And the thing about that is, in his situation, he knew what was going to happen. He knew before time what was going to happen. And he had to just sit through or deal with all this nonsense. And so it certainly takes a special person. And if you're a patient person, you can pat yourself on the back because it's almost against our nature to be patient. But that is a big, when talking about a garment, that's a huge garment. That's a big garment. That's a tremendous, powerful article of clothing. But that's what we need. That's what we need. That's I can't say enough about that. And we should practice that. I mean, we should work on that. That's something that needs to be worked on. But and it can be accomplished. It can be accomplished. Now, another one is, and this is super. This is almost next to patience, and that is the garment of forgiveness. The garment, the article of clothing that has to do with forgiveness. That is something that we should wear and wear proudly. That garment is something that's cost man. There are all kind of little statements I can make about you can forgive, but you can't forget, and you can, and I mean because, and that it's well, one thing about forgiveness is a lot of things that happen are so dynamic that it sticks in your mind. It's hard to get it out of your mind. You wonder, and sometimes you try to forget because you want to forgive, but every time you like see a person that maybe did you wrong, it just conjures up the memories of what they did, and it's hard to forgive them. It is hard to forgive people, and that's I don't know if it's counterintuitive or what, but it's shouldn't be, but it's almost against human nature to forgive, and especially depending on what the what the wrong was, or what the grievance is. I mean, it is hard to forgive, and but the thing about it is, when you are able to forgive, it kind of cleanses things. It kind of puts things in the past. Puts it in the as they said, puts things in the rear view mirror where you need what a lot of stuff needs to be. You've forgiven, you've forgotten, and you're just moving on. You're moving ahead because obviously, a lot of times you can't forgive. It is hard to move on. It is hard to move on, and it takes a big person to forgive because from every practical, down to earth point of view, this is kind of like repenting. I mean, it's kind of in that same vein that you are going back and saying, you know what, I'm wiping the slate clean, I'm starting over, I forgive. I'm not even able to forget, but I'm going to forgive, and I'm just going to work on it. But that's the direction forgiveness takes you in. It takes you in a positive direction, and that is so, so important. To be moving forward, not backwards and not standing still. To be going in a positive direction. And uh, I mean, there are people who have been harmed, who have been wronged, and they need to be to exercise forgiveness. Because some of these things are just horrible. I mean, the history of this country, there are certain groups that have been harmed, have been mistreated, and the Christian thing is to forgive. True Christians, real Christians, practicing Christians must put on the garment of forgiveness. They must practice forgiveness. This is important. This is important. It's hard to move on. It's hard to advance if you don't forgive. So that's another key element or key piece of the wardrobe, the garment of forgiveness. And again, that probably takes a lot of thought, but it's something to really, really think about because that can just drag you down too. And that is, you don't want that. You want to shake it off, forgive, and move on because it's beneficial to you. So, forgiveness, huge. Now, the final piece, the final piece, we could say the outer garment, the thing to wrap around you forever. And this garment is needed to kind of hold everything else together. This is the outer garment. This is to be put on over and around everything else, all the rest of the things. And that is love. 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 This is a garment that binds everything together. This is uniting. This brings harmony. This brings into play all the other qualities or the garments we talked about. And this is kind of what makes a Christian a Christian. This is what makes a human human. This is what makes a person a person. This is what holds everything together, and that is love. Love is, and of course, for Christians, we really are talking about agape love. And that is when you love your fellow man and when you're looking out for each other and when you're looking out for that person, for your fellow man. That is key. And that is the kind of love that Christians should have. And we should love each other. We should love life. And certainly we should love God. All the blessings that have been bestowed upon us, we should love God. And love, again, is everything. It's everything. As a matter of fact, uh, God is love. Love permeates everything. It is there. I mean, when it's all said and done, this this whole thing might be about love. When all is said and done, when we have done all we can and said all we can and everything, love might be the thing that is the key to abundant, great, wonderful life. When you can forgive, when you can be meek, when you can have humility, when when you're compassionate, when you're kind, all these things, the bottom line, the basis of all these things, love, love, and we should. Life is such a gift. We should love every minute of it. We should not despair. We should be just uh, joyful every day. Every day that we wake up and put our feet on the ground, can breathe this air, we should be grateful and thankful and love every minute of it. Even the bad parts, we should love every minute of it because that is so key. And it's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, there's so much misinformation and bad things going on here. We can forget what that means. Um, we can forget what love is all about. And but when we truly have love, we have peace. I'll repeat that. When you have love, you have peace. And when you're at peace with the world and your maker, you're in a good spot. You're in a good position. That is key. When you have peace, gratitude, I mean, this is wonderful. I mean, when you truly have it, when you're not faking it. And, I mean, when you truly have love, you're at peace, and that is uh, peace with your fellow man, peace of mind. Peace of mind is huge because, man, there are so many things that can upset your peace of mind. There are things coming at you constantly to throw your peace of mind off, to upset you, to make you forget about love, and just the opposite. You start thinking about hate. You don't want that. And to know Christ is to be thankful, to be joyous, and to know love. If you truly know Christ, you know love, and that's what a Christian should be. All that's sort of the Christian's secret weapon, and that is love. Love for Christ. When you have that, I mean, you kind of got it all. You kind of, I mean, you really have a grip on things, and you should cling to that. That is so important. So, um, uh, that these are things to ponder. These are points to ponder. These are things that we should reflect on and try to obtain. We should try to obtain these things. We should work on it, and hopefully, some great day, all these things come together, and you can realize what you're living for as a Christian. And that is so important. So, with that, brothers and sisters, I'm going to conclude. And I again want to thank you for your attentiveness, for listening to this, and for just your spirit, your willingness to engage in these kind of conversations. So, again, blessings to you, your loved ones, and again, pray for me, and I will certainly be praying for you until the next time. So, again, thank you, thank you, thank you. And that is the end of my uh, situation for my lesson for today. And so, God be with you and bless you all. Thank you.
Can't you hear? Can't you hear? Can't you hear?
Sunday morning,
Church bell toning.
do you
Can't you hear? Can't you hear?
remember
Can't you hear?
the church bell
Church bell toning.
every now and then?
Can't you hear? Can't you hear?
They were told to let you know
Church bell
somebody
toning.
else is gone away.
Way over yonder,
Burying ground.
burying ground.
I wonder, can you feel?
Can't you feel? Can't you feel?
Feel the
Can't you feel?
spirit moving.
Spirit moving, spirit.
Can you
Can't you feel?
feel?
Can you feel? Can't
The
you feel?
Holy
Spirit moving.
Tell me.
Can't you feel? Can't you feel? Can't you feel?
Can you feel the spirit
Spirit moving,
moving away?
way over yonder,
Burying ground.
burying ground.
And I wonder, can you see?
Can't you see? Can't you see?
That
Can't you see?
old hearse will roll.
Hers will roll and do it.
Oh,
Can't you
can
see? Can't you see? Can't you see?
Hearse will roll.
Hers will roll and do it too. Can't you see? Can't you see?
Wonder,
Can't you see?
can you
Hers will roll and
see? Rolling away.
way over yonder,
Burying ground.
burying ground.
They kept on rolling.
Kept a rolling, kept a rolling, kept
Till
a
they
rolling.
rolled my father.
My father to the grave.
Wheels kept a rolling.
Kept a rolling, kept a rolling, kept a rolling.
My brother.
my brother to the grave.
Kept on rolling.
Kept a rolling, kept a rolling, kept a rolling. My Lord to the grave.
Jesus went
Way over yonder. Way over yonder.
My Savior went
Way over yonder. Burying ground.
I wonder, can you hear?
Can't you hear? Can't you hear?
I think I hear
Church bell toning.
the church bell toning.
Can't you hear? Can't you hear? Can't you hear?
You hear?